Okay, so today's video is on pre-workouts and stimulants in general. I'm going to give you my take. So nowadays I notice pre-workouts have become really popular, perhaps only behind, I'd say, whey protein and creatine at this stage. So many people are using them. Now, one of the big decisions I made when I began my all-out bodybuilding journey in 2024 was to stop using pre-workouts. Now, I'll give you my rationale for this. So as I was doing my research at the time, the whole cortisol equation came up. Now, I spoke about this in a previous video on intra-workout nutrition and how cortisol basically is the enemy. And if you can suppress cortisol around training and after training, the more you're going to recover and grow. So what happens is pre-workouts and stimulants of all sorts do the opposite of this. They spike your cortisol and spike your adrenaline, which is the worst possible thing you want really for recovery and growth. Yes, you might get this fire and this boost that might, fire you up and you might perform a little bit better, but that's more than going to be cancelled out by having high cortisol and adrenaline in the body when you want it, at its lowest in order to recover and grow. So plus, there's a lot of other negatives as well around that, a lot of stomach issues, plus depending on the time of the day you're taking this, it could greatly impact your sleep, which is, as you know, sleep is probably one of the most important factors in the recovery process for the body. So you could be doing more damage here again by taking pre-workouts, pretty much from afternoon onwards anyway. So I'll give you a couple of other reasons as well why pre-workouts aren't, in my opinion, a good idea. I once listened to Mikhail Koklayev, who was one of the strongest men in the world for many years, and he had a take on stimulants and pre-workouts as well. He was against them, and his rationale was basically, if you're using these on a daily basis to get up, so to speak, for your sessions, he was like, well, what have you then to turn to on the day of a competition to get that extra little edge? You've nothing left to go there. So why not, do your normal day-to-day training and save these for that extra, push at a competition day? And I think that's a good way to think about it, and even for people who do want to, use pre-workouts, maybe that could be an idea. Maybe say, right, I have a really big session and I'm going to, save it for that, like, rather than, just using it basically every time you train. And yeah, so as I say, stimulants are definitely a double-edged sword. Another thing is I don't drink coffee in the PM at all. So I'll have one big cup of coffee in the morning, which I love, and if I have any coffee or tea in the afternoon, which is rare, I'll make sure it's decaf, because I don't want to, impact my sleep schedule as well. So as I say, that's my take on pre-workouts. And as you can see, over the last close on 18 months at this stage, giving up pre-workouts is clearly working for me.